you got aluminum siding. It's basically like vinyl. It unzips to get off. So you're gonna go to an end where it laps, and you're gonna use a hook of some type. Get it in there. You gotta find the right spot. Pull it down and out so it unhooks. Then you're gonna take a flat bar, get it in the groove, and you're gonna ride it. Trying not to bend it too much underneath. Do the same thing. Wherever it breaks, then use your hand to pop it off. Now you have a loose piece. Now you got to get underneath, and you got to take the nails off that are holding the piece on.
That particular tool that you made is just a hook.
It's a zip tool. It's pretty much just an insulation rod with a hook. Yeah, you can fit this into the behind the piece and pull it down and out. It's really the only way to unhook this stuff. You don't want it to be too sharp, because you're just going to keep hooking back on the aluminum. So what you're going to do is find a corner that's accessible. You're not going to start in the middle, because you never get it unpopped. So you grab the corner, and it's just like vinyl. You hook it in and pull it down and out, and you'll even notice there's a little section that's not curled up, so that's a good spot to hook the tool in. It's not going anywhere. So once you get it unpopped, use your hands. Just kind of pull it away from the piece without bending it, and then that way you won't bend the piece underneath. But once you get it popped up, it's pretty basic, you know. Just get behind there, get the nails out without bending the piece. And then once you get all the nails out, you just crank it down. And these little shims in here, you know, they go out in the corners just so the piece doesn't bend in and out. You can put them back, save them, and then you're ready to drill.
What if it's real windy out and you've got a longer piece? You need a couple of guys?
I'd say you need 2 guys to do it, yeah.
And put your ladders, you know, kind of side by side, or?
Yeah, side by side, just so you can get 2 guys working with it. It's a lot easier. Then you're not up and down the ladder so much. The thing is though, once you bend this stuff, there's no way you can ever make it look original. So I mean, you just gotta be easy with it the first time, and there's no cutting it. So, and 90% of the time, they don't have any extra pieces laying around. So it's a one-shot deal, pretty much.
Now, when you're putting it back, you trim off the nailing flange, or?
There's 2 ways to do it. When it's less malleable, the easier way to do it would be the piece that you took off. You take your knife and you score this end a couple times, and then you gotta bend it up and then back and forth.
And that just pops right off.
And this should come right off. Yeah, you retuck it in just like you're popping in vinyl siding. Get it in there. And then you put a nail, you drill a hole and stick a nail, preferably on the underside, but if this lip right here isn't big enough, it's kind of hard to angle it in. Definitely got to have some finesse to it.
So what size drill bit do you use?
Well, it's got to be big enough so, you know, a ring shank box nail could fit in there, but you don't want it bigger than the head of the nail, because it pop right off. I use long ring shank because there's usually space, you know, that you got to clear. They're galvanized siding nails. You use regular, any metal drill bit. Make sure this is all the way up in the groove. And you're trying to get through this piece and this piece at the same time.
Oh, so you hit them both?
You're hitting them both. So then when you sink your nail in, it's going into this piece behind here and this. So it's interlocking them. And then don't sink the nail home because you're going to leave a big divot and it's going to look
awful.
It's going to look awful. So it's all about, you know, drilling it out. Takes a little bit more time, but if you don't drill it out and you try to sink a nail through this metal, it's just going to bend, you know?
Right.
So really, the only way to do that and make it look straight is to drill it out. We're going that top middle piece. So what we got a long piece that involves a couple guys, or you're just gonna have to make a lot of ladder moves. So we take the zip tool, you stick it in the inside corner where there's a little notch. It's where the pieces interlock, so it's a good spot to grab. Stick it in, pull it down, and then give it a little tug out. And then kind of use your hands. If you can't use your hands or can't reach, you can use your flat bar. Then you gotta pop the nails out. Sometimes the nails don't always come out easy. The heads pop off and then you gotta get some bullnose pliers in there. Once you get all the nails out, you just tug it down. Golden. Well, in order to put the piece back on, this flange where they nail it on originally needs to be taken off. This stuff doesn't zip back on 99% of the time, so you're gonna have to just take this piece off. So you lay it down with the flange down, simple utility knife. And you're just gonna ride the inside of that groove with your blade. Once is enough for this stuff. Sometimes you get a score 2-3 times.
Right.
But all you're doing is bending the flange up, and on your way back, you can save this stuff too. It adds up, I guess. It's aluminum. Second from right. You got the screw gun?
Yeah.
Just like vinyl, you gotta watch the shadow marks, you know. You wanna get the right piece on so they overlap. Pull all the paper out of the way. We'll make sure everything's sitting flat, or else you're just gonna have a big bumped out area.
It might not be weather tight.
Well, it would just look like there's a hump behind it.
Right.
You won't be able to get it down later. So stuff like this,
Right.
you know, it's gonna, if you don't get it now, it's usually just stuff behind it. Lift the top up so it's not catching on it. Make sure the bottom's in all the way.
Now, how do you tell the bottom's in all the way?
You can feel it. It just kind of locks in and then it won't come out. And you can look in, look down the line, make sure it's all set, and then you're good to go.
Okay.
And then sometimes you got to go back to the corners, you know, and retuck them in because they got kind of bent from pulling it off. The most important part is making this sit flat because otherwise it's going to look like a wavy mess from underneath.
Okay.
And now's the time to fix that because you're not going to be able to get to it later. Because the flange is only about a 1/4 inch above this thing, so it's kind of hard to get it underneath, and then you have to come in like that, and then you see the nail more. You can always paint the nail head white if they don't like them. But this way you can guarantee the piece isn't going anywhere because you got a nail in here. So as long as the bottom's locked in and the top's nailed, you know, it's just like the rest of the house.
As good or better than when you arrive.
And I wouldn't worry about, you know, the face nail hole because it's these have weeping holes anyway for the water to drip out, so it's the same thing as that.
And they overlap anyway by at least.
Right, yeah. It's flashed right.
Yeah.
With your ladders, the standoffs you got, they don't want to sit on the flange. You know, they want to sit
part.
on a flat part of the siding, so you're not denting it, you know. Once you take the piece off, that's when the wind comes into play. You got to get it down to the ground without it folding in half. You know, when you get the piece off, take it down, label it, and get it in a pile. Don't tack it on the wall because, first of all, you got to take it down anyway to zip the flange off. So there's no point.
Point in hanging it there.
No point in hanging it up.
Leaving it flapping in the wind.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you do wreck a piece, what would be the best thing to do? Take one off the back of the house or off somewhere
If you can,
that's hidden behind some bushes, or
you can, yeah. I mean, worst
Swap it
case
out.
scenario, you get a piece of white vinyl, and you somehow get it in there. But there's really no easy way to, or white sheet metal even. If you have a break, or you can bend it so it looks. I've used sheet metal to cover areas where, you know, there's existing holes just to make it so it's watertight.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, it's really no easy way to do it.